Hi everybody, welcome. Today's class is going to focus on awakening the deep core. And when we hear deep core, you probably think like, oh, this is going to be hard and it's going to be intense. And actually working with the deep core means being gentle and being conscious and moving from these deeper layers of musculature, which often mean smaller and slower type movements. Once we have that all woken up, we can use our full body. So there's going to be a mix. And with that, let's just begin with a little bit of centering. So feel free to kneel. I'm using a block underneath my hips, but grab anything that helps you sit here comfortably. We will be here for a couple of minutes. And then if it feels okay, just close the eyes and let the awareness, your awareness, start sinking inside towards the heart and towards the breath. And begin observing the breath to the best of your ability. It's often easier after our yoga practice, so be compassionate if there's still some digging to do before you can fully experience the breath. That's okay. And see if you can become aware of the sensation of the rib cage gently, naturally expanding as you inhale. And then softening as you exhale. And beyond the scope of the rib cage, allow the belly to softly expand and contract with your breath. And we will be doing some shoulder-related movements today, and in honor of our shoulders training, it can be really helpful to start noticing the sensation of the rib cage expanding up into the space of the shoulder blades and the shoulder girdle. Just letting the core of the body connect to the limbs. And just keep the shoulders relaxed and natural, and each inhale, imagine your breath filling that space underneath the shoulder blades. And just take a couple more breaths like this. And if you are following along with our music today, you can hit play on the first track and make sure it is set to repeat each single track. And before we move a little bit, give yourself permission to adjust your base of support. And so that might mean allowing the knees to come a little wider, changing the height of your block, whatever supports your knees and your pelvis to a comfortable degree. And then ever so gently begin circling the weight on the hips. So you might feel the weight shift towards the back edge of the sits bones, to the side of the sits bones, to the front. And notice if you have the tendency, and I don't see anyone live doing this, to make really big movements or really quick movements, and see if you can slow down, smooth out, and maybe even move a little smaller. And even though everybody looks perfect, let's all move just a little bit smaller, and notice the amount of control that takes. Just notice a sense of deeper core stability. It's quite subtle, but you might feel I'm really searching for what you might feel. You might feel something new waking up, or awareness of a deeper layer that often goes unnoticed, can circle the opposite direction. And as you move in this slow and small way, see if you can also observe the breath, staying relaxed and natural with your flow in and out of the nose if it's possible. And now, allow your movements to progressively get a little bit bigger, and see if you can maintain that sense of deep core radiance as other muscles start to participate, as the spine flexes forward and then to the side, extends slightly backward. So we're not losing the depth, we're just getting multiple layers of work. And the head can start to follow in any degree that feels comfortable and supported on the neck. We don't want any strain or really even any stretch sensation. And as the hip circles lead your movement and the spine and head follow, just for fun, shift your awareness down to the legs and notice any sense of massage across the shins as they contact the earth with different pressure, the calves as the thighs might squeeze down on them, even the sensation of the block or the heels against your glutes. And then on your own time, switch directions. It's up to you if you start small and progressively get bigger, or you just stay at the size you're already moving. Angeli's starting to bring in her hands a little bit, and that looks really fun. So give yourself permission to allow the arms to float weightlessly. Maybe the fingertips contact the earth, maybe not. Explore. And then let your circles get smaller and smaller until you're back at an upright kneeling position. No rushing. And before we move on, I'm just going to demo something from the side that we'll be coming back to again and again in class. And so we'll start with some cat and cows seated. And our cow pose arches the back, our cat pose rounds the spine. And notice the sensation on each of the pelvis tipping forward, tipping back. Notice how the rib cage relates to that. The ribs open, the ribs tuck in. And then, like our progressive circles, let the catting and cowing get smaller and smaller. And this actually takes more control. It takes fine-tuned core stability to make these movements smaller. It's actually harder. And then Goldilocks style, try to find the point that's just right, where the back isn't arching at all, the back isn't rounding at all. You're just in that perfectly neutral spine. And reminder that there is still a low back curve at neutral. And just notice the subtle work it takes to maintain neutral. Take a couple of breaths here. Drop your awareness into whatever musculature is gently firing to hold the spine at neutral, and hopefully it feels very sustainable. Hi, Annapurna. We're just getting started, so you're perfect. Well, you're always perfect. And so we're going to explore finding this neutral on our backs now. So shift the weight over, move your block out of the way. We probably won't need it, so you can move it far away. Sit to one side, extend the legs, and just for ease of following along the sequence, turn so your right shoulder is towards me, and then slowly support your way onto your back. Take one moment to feel the ribs expand on your inhale. Feel the body soften on your exhale. And then very slowly start to explore cat and cow from the back. And I find it really fun to use my arms here. You don't have to, but as the hands walk forward, you might notice their ability to pull you into the arch of cow. And as the hands walk closer up towards the head, you might notice how they help you round into that cat positioning. And then let your cats and cows get smaller and smaller, just like we did from kneeling, until you find that perfect neutral, where the spine is neutral but very supported from the inside out. You can even visualize the musculature wrapping around the deepest part of you, close to the spine. Keeping neutral, and this actually takes work, so bring all your focus to that neutral sensation. Slowly start to walk the heels in. And it's harder to maintain neutral as you do this, so move slowly and consciously. And once the feet are in a comfortable position just ahead of the knees, gently push into feet, shoulders, hands, not to go anywhere, but just to let that stability from the core translate out into the limbs. And then imagine the points of the hip, the headlights of the hip, suspended from the ceiling, just ever so gently lifting one vertebra at a time from the hips. And then set the spine down and just take a couple of these. I really enjoy the sensation of letting the front of my body lift me here. I can feel the deep transversus abdominis working. The next time you place your hips down, re-find neutral and try to maintain it as you lift one leg at a time. And the lifts can be very small at first. Keep the knee bent. And when neutral is not maintained, you might feel like the hips tilt ever so slightly in the direction that the leg is lifting. And so see if you can use those deep core muscles to maintain neutral. And make sure you're always breathing. And the next time one leg lifts, allow the arms to slowly float up towards the sky at the same time, as if the hands were connected to the feet. And then lower them both together. And now alternate, just like you were doing with the legs, but arms lift and lower. And see if you can sync up the landing of the hands and the feet, so there's that level of control and awareness. Nice, Amanda, I could see how gently you set your hands down. That was so beautiful. And now we're going to add on. So the next time the foot lowers, let's go back to the bridge pose. And as you lower your spine down, there's this moment where the hips contact the earth, and imagine it like a reflex that allows that one leg to unfurl towards the sky. And then lower the leg down and try that a couple times. And it can be really gentle, or it can be less gentle. I've actually been having fun allowing my spine to drop a little bit. There's no pain, but there really is this sense of my hips dropping and then the leg just flies towards the sky. Add the arms in if that feels comfortable. The next time the right foot is up, pause there and imagine the body like a raft, slowly filling with air. And as it fills and expands, right foot reaches forward and arms reach overhead. And really take your time here. You don't want any clicking or tightness on the front of the right hip. So if that happens, bend the knee and bring the foot down the same way you were playing before. And then let the leg unfurl from the bottom. Take your time, but once the leg is extended, you can gently push into the sole of the left foot, rolling on the right side of the body. Keep the arms and head hovering as long as there's no pain in the neck here, and float the left foot as if you were doing a Nattarajasana. And if you're shaking and quivering, that's okay. This is challenging for the core. Slowly extend the left leg out. And take a moment to find your neutral spine and see if that helps you stabilize. And play with bending the top knee and extending, or if it's hard enough to just stay neutral, just pause and breathe. Make sure you can continue breathing here. And then let's all bend the top knee and slowly let the sole of the foot come behind you, returning onto the back. Drag the right heel in, reach hands down, and slowly lift up into bridge pose. Hi, Danny. I know this time slot's hard for you, so I'm so excited to see that you're here. Slowly lower one vertebra at a time, and then let the leg unfurl. Going back to our I actually haven't named this. We'll call it unfurling zombie. I kind of feel that. The next time the left leg lifts, same thing. Inflatable raft. Let the whole body expand and reach. Make any adjustment so it's comfortable in the front of the left hip. And I know you'll be rolling away from me, but we're doing the same thing. So hopefully it's easy enough to follow. Push into the right foot. Slowly roll onto the left side. Option to hover the right foot, though it's trickier for balance. And so the thighs will be parallel. Slowly extend the right foot as if you were in Tadasana with arms overhead. Draw the spine towards neutral. Notice how that affects your balance. And then for an additional challenge, you can play with bending the right knee and extending the right leg, shifting your balance point. And the next time the right knee bends, let the foot get heavy. Slowly drop the right hip back to the mat. Reach hands towards feet. Drag the left heel in. One final easy bridge pose here, lifting from the flesh just underneath the hip points. A deep core. And then release the spine down. Grab behind the thighs. Draw the thighs into the chest and then kick the legs forward to roll up. Nice. Place the hands just at the hips and ever so gently start to drag the hands back. They might just move an inch. And as you do that, notice the sensation of the shoulder blades anchoring towards the rib cage. And then push the hands forward, let the spine round. And do this a couple of times. Just waking up a little bit more strength in the, what I call the shoulder core, but it's not even a real thing. And Then find neutral, tent the fingertips, and just gently allow the rib cage to fill the space underneath the shoulders. Glide the heels forward, letting the legs slowly fill and expand. And then place the right hand over to the right and gently start to roll to the right, sweeping the left hand across the horizon. Let the left hip come with you so that you can roll onto your belly off of your mat. I hope that doesn't freak anyone out because we're going to be doing this a few times. And then let's wake up our back strength a little bit here. Drag the hands back. Allow the front of the body to lengthen and the back of the body to shorten. Gaze down so there's no tension in the neck. And just take a couple of Bhujangasana pulses here. You can sync the movement with the breath. And the next time you lower, lift the left leg. Imagine you were going to push back into Bhujangasana, but instead just push into the hands, cross the left leg back to the mat so you return to Dandasana. And let's just try that a couple times so that you get the muscle memory just in case that movement is new. Once you've got the hang of it, feel free to go right into Paschimottanasana and then go back into the side roll before we go the opposite direction. And the next time you're in Dandasana, pause, or Paschimottanasana, you can pause there too. And we'll go the other way. So if you're in Paschimottanasana, kick into the heels to slowly unfurl the spine. Left hand plants over to the left. Sweep the right hand across the horizon. Notice how it starts to pull on the right hip. Let the right hip come with you so it's not too deep of a twist to get there. And we'll skip our Bhujangasanas, they're symmetrical anyway. So lift the right foot, push into the hands, cross the right foot towards the front right corner of the mat, back to Dandasana. Option to bend the knees and melt forward. And then kick into the heels, twist to the left, and continue at your own pace, just enjoying this sense of awakening the core in a really supportive and fun way. I enjoy this more than doing crunches myself, but we're all different. And we'll all meet in either Dandasana or Paschimottanasana, whatever the body enjoys more. And then gently kick into the heels, drag the hands back just like we did before. This time let's bend the knees and start to shift the weight from hand to hand and give yourself permission to change the direction of the hands, right? Sometimes we assume, okay, they have to be a certain way, and it doesn't actually feel that great on the wrists. So allow the hands to change. Bend the elbows a lot and bring a little extra weight in the pinky side of the hand. And then when you find an angle that's nice on the wrists and the hands, pause there. Again, bend the elbows and just notice if that helps awaken a little more support in the back of the body. And then start to circle the rib cage. And as you circle the rib cage, you might notice different points on each shoulder and shoulder blade getting a little more support, a little more muscular activation. Go the opposite direction. And you might find an area where it's like, ooh, it doesn't feel very smooth, right? It's not like a smooth circle. That's a really great place to slow down and try smoothing it out. Maybe there's something there that's lying dormant. And it's plenty strong. It just needs the reminder, like, yeah, I need help. Support me, please. And let's pause at center. And just like we did with the hands, take some steps with the feet. Allow the feet to come a little wider. Notice if the pelvis likes that. And then play with lifting the hips just an inch. And then set the hips back down. Push into the hands. And again, imagine the rib cage lifting up to fill the space underneath the scapula. Find your neutral spine, activating those deep core muscles, and then very slowly lift the hips again, just an inch. hips down. And one last time, lifting the hips. And then set the hips down. And we're going to play with a transition that I don't know how it's going to go for everyone. So I'm going to offer some alternatives. But first, just try this version. You'll lift the legs, and then the momentum of the legs dropping down is going to help you shift forward. You'll also push into the hands at the same time, eventually making your way into Malasana. Take your time playing with momentum. Yes, nice, Annapurna. And if Malasana is not a comfortable place for you to stay, you can lift your hips, turn your feet forward, and meet in Uttanasana. So it's up to you. For anyone that I can't see, if you need another option here, you can lower the knees to the side and walk the hands forward. So it's almost like you're going around instead of forward. So it's like Veer Bhadrasana, walk the hands forward. And then let's all take one more, or just pause in your Malasana or Uttanasana. If you are in Malasana, push into the feet, let the hips slowly lift, turn the feet forward, melt the head. Let the belly rest on the thighs, so that might mean bending the knees really deeply. Let the low back soften. Connect with the breath. Shake out the head if that's comfortable on the neck. And then walk the hands up to the thighs. Gently push on the thighs, drop the tailbone, and roll up one vertebra at a time. In the future, I'm not going to tell you to put your hands on your thighs, but just know you can always do that if it feels more supportive for you. Once you make it to the top, just pause. Took us a long time to get to standing, so notice if your body feels new and different. Observe your breath flow here. Let the weight shift from foot to foot so that you can find the most supportive foot positioning underneath the hips. And then gaze down, turn the feet forward, and then just gently anchor the big toe and let the thighs externally rotate ever so subtly, just like 5% muscular effort. Just like we've been playing with in every position, take a moment to cat and cow the spine, and then find your neutral. Yeah, option to have hands on the hips. And then let the cats and cows get smaller and smaller. And again, just notice the deep and subtle effort it takes to maintain neutral. Though there's muscular effort, it should feel like you can maintain this for days without strain. And before we go into our first standing sequence, feel free to grab a sip of water and go to the next track on the playlist if you are following along with music. We'll all meet back in Tadasana in the middle of the mat. Okay, so imagine you've got some big, thick, heavy rubber bands attached to your feet. Grab them and then slowly start to stretch them up towards the sky, letting the whole front of the body lengthen with that resistance. And then let the rubber bands start to win and hinge forward into your comfortable forward fold. Bend the knees. Heel toe the feet just a little bit wider. Bring the hands to the mat. And then slowly walk one handprint forward at a time, sneaking in to your downward facing dog. I'm ending up off my mat, which makes it harder, but harder is good sometimes. If that drives you nuts, you can shimmy your feet back a little bit. And then just press into the hands, allowing the rib cage to glide out of the scapula. So until now, we've been trying to lift our rib cage into the scapula. Now we're letting the rib cage slide away from the scapula. Slowly lower the knees to a hover. If that's too much, you can lower them all the way. Take a couple of breaths. Again, push into the hands. Let the scapula slide wide on the rib cage. And then drop the knees down. Walk the hands in. Tuck the toes under if they're not already. And let's give our feet a little stretch. So make some nice big circles with the hips so you bring more weight into the bottom of the foot. If you want a little bit more here, you can sit back into Bhadrasana. Just make sure there's no pain here. And then keep circling. So the feet are stretching, and this way we get to access them from all different angles. And then place the hands down, flatten the tops of the feet, and push down into the tops of the feet to slowly rise up into a high kneel. Keep pushing down into the tops of the feet, and just notice the support that provides in the front of the body. Bring the hands flat to the hip crease, and without extending the spine, bend the knees for a reverse Nordic movement that takes a lot of strength in the front of the body. You don't have to move very far, but bring your awareness. Actually, let's come back to neutral. Find your neutral spine, just like we've been practicing. Feel that deep layer of the core. And now as you bend the knees, notice how more muscles have to come online to support you. You might really feel your quads, rectus abdominis, maybe even the glutes. Make sure you can breathe. And the next time you float up, you can relax and bring your hips to your heels. Take a Bhadrasana to the right. And this is going to be an alternative way to get back to reverse table, where the feet just come in front. So remember that positioning. We'll try it the other way. So from Bharad to the right, walk the hands forward all the way to the left. So we're in Bhadrasana to the left. Same transition where the feet can come forward. And then walk your hands forward, and if the feet allow, tuck the toes under. Another transition we can play with is lifting the hands towards the horizon and rolling over the feet onto the hips. That's not for everyone, so you can go through Bhadrasana if that's not comfortable. We'll all land in the hips together. Drag the hands back and let the hips lift any amount into reverse table. Adjust the hands as needed. Lower the hips. Remember this one, lift the feet, push into the hands, Malasana. Plant the hands in front of you. Bring weight into the hands as you slowly lift the hips up. It's Uttanasana, but also a little bit of a crow prep here. Sink the weight towards the heels. Option to use the hands or just the strength of the core to roll up one vertebra at a time. Grab those rubber bands. They're still there. I'm glad they didn't get in the way for you, though. Slowly pull them up and overhead, front of the body lengthens, and then let the rubber band draw you all the way down to your Uttanasana at your own pace. Take multiple breath flows to roll up, maybe 2 full breath cycles, so you're really taking your time. We've still got the rubber bands, but this time, instead of pulling us down into our forward fold, they're actually going to help us lift the legs. So grab the rubber bands, pull them up and overhead, letting the whole front line of the body lengthen, and then shift the weight into the left foot. And as the body closes, allow the right leg to lift. Nice. Take a nice circle with the right ankle. Reach the hands behind you, slowly lower the right foot down. Drag the right foot back nice and slow so you feel those deep hip core muscles activating. We're going to keep sliding the foot back until we're in our Veer Bhadrasana 1 stance. I like it nice and short myself. Push into the feet and slowly let the front of the body open, reaching arms towards the sky. And then lower the hands to the hips, extend the front leg, and just take a couple of baby pulses into Uttanasana. And as you tip forward, bring your awareness into your left foot. Push into your left foot to slowly rise up to neutral. And continue to pulse, letting the left leg generate the movement. It's like the softening of the left leg lets you melt. The expanding of the left leg lets you rise up with control. Feel free to add the arms into it, sweeping them back as you hinge forward and sweeping them up as you lift. Option to bend the knee at the top for Veer Bhadrasana 1, and then extend, sweep the arms back, repeating. And the next time you're hinged forward, bend the front knee really deeply, melt the body down, and then plant the hands inside of the foot. Lower the back knee down and shift the weight into the right knee so you can slowly extend the left leg straight back. Lower the left knee and make some circles with the shoulders around the wrist. So kind of like we did in tabletop, but now front ways, or reverse table rather. Go the opposite direction. And then find an even point where there's equal balance in the front of the shoulder and the back of the shoulder. Slowly bend the knees so the feet are facing the sky. Shift the weight towards the left wrist and let the hips start to stack, bringing all your weight into the left arm, if that's comfortable. Great. And then let's go from side to side. Be sure to bend the elbows and bring extra weight in the pinky side of the hand. You should feel really springy and supported here. No rigidity, nothing is locked. You can continue with this movement, or if you want a little bit more, the next time the left hand is down and you're facing me, pause there, bring the right hand alongside the body and lift the hips into the hand. On an exhale, extend the right leg out and lift the right arm. And inhale, close everything back to where it came from, and exhale to expand in our side plank prep. Take a couple of pulses here. Bring your awareness to the left hand and wrist and elbow and shoulder. Make sure it's springy, right? Nothing locked out. Annapurna, try walking the hand in a little bit and just notice if that feels more supported. And then do whatever feels most supported for you. The next time everything's tucked in, slowly return to tabletop. We'll do that same thing the opposite side. So let the feet pivot, bring the weight into the right hand. Left hand elongates on your side. Lift the hips into the hand. And then option to exhale, extend left leg, lift left arm. And then inhale, draw everything back. As you pulse here, make any adjustments. Maybe the knees come a little closer in. Maybe the hand comes a little closer in so it's easier to bend the elbow and get support from the back body. Next time everything is tucked in, slowly swivel back to your tabletop. And you've got your two options here. As you walk the hands back, you can either sit to the side for Barad or go through the middle over the toes. And I hope you have space behind you, or you can always scooch forward right into our reverse table. Lower the hips, lift the legs, push into the hands. Option to pause in Malasana if the legs are feeling a little bit warmer for that, or we'll meet in Uttanasana. Hands forward, hips lift, toes forward. 1 or 2 breaths. Take your time rolling up. Use the support of your hands if you need it. Feel the sits bones dropping, so there's this sense of the pelvis pulling underneath you, and then each vertebra stacking. Take a moment at the top, find your neutral spine. Grab your rubber bands, pull the rubber bands up and overhead, front of the body expands, and then shift the weight into the right foot. Let the left knee lift as the rubber band snaps down. Circle the left ankle a couple of times. And then slowly extend the left leg, reach both hands back. Glide the toes along the mat, drawing the left foot behind you. Sweep the arms forward simultaneously. If you get to the end of the mat, you can scoot your right foot forward until you find your Veer Bhadrasana 1. And then keep lifting the arms, letting the front of the body expand. Keep the low back soft and see how much the front of the body can support you here. Take one breath. And then lower the hands to the hips, extend the front leg, and just take some baby Uttanasana pulses. Bend the front knee just a little bit, and notice how that demands a little bit more control from the musculature. Don't worry about going very far. If you want to add the arms in, sweep them back as you hinge, sweep them up as you come up. Option to add a Veer Bhadrasana 1 at the top, especially if that leg is getting tired, but it also just feels really nice. And the next time you're hinged forward, bend the front knee really, really deeply, bring the hands down, lower the back knee, and sweep the right foot back into three-legged table. And then lower the right knee so you're just in normal table. And we have the option to add on here. So you can continue with the side rolls just like we did on the first try. If you liked side plank and you want to kick it up a notch, let's roll to the left, hand to side body, extend leg and arm, and then start to sweep the foot behind you until you can lower the hips down. Bring the soles of both feet to the ground. Cross right elbow to left knee, almost like a bicycle crunch. Feel that integration. Keep it as you power the left foot down. Slowly let the front of the body open into rockstar. The hips do not have to lift all the way. Make sure the left arm likes this movement. Lower the hips and try a couple of times. And as you set down, give yourself permission to adjust your tripod of your 2 feet and your left hand. Make that cross crunch and then let it unfurl. Make sure you can breathe. I like to exhale into the movement and then inhale out. And the next time you lower, bring the feet together, roll through center, and you'll go the opposite direction. And so from our supported side plank, drag the left foot behind you, slowly lower the hips down, and then point the knees up. Now left elbow to knee, bicycle crunch, and then set the right foot down and let the front of the body expand any amount. You don't have to lift the hips very high. Lower the hips down, reset. Maybe the right fingertips find a different direction to point. Elbow to knee, and then unfurl. And then at your own pace, you can take 1 or 2 more. And the next time you lower, bring the feet together, roll through center, tuck the toes underneath. Walk the hands in. You've got your choice. You can go through Bhadrasana or you can go through our toe balance, bringing the hips down, extending the legs forward. And this wasn't in the plan, but we can do the most awkward walk forward, lifting one sit bone at a time. What did you call it? Satya called this March of the Penguins until your hips make it to the center of your mat. And then just pause for a moment. Bring your hands behind you and walk the hands down until you can recline. Back to the beginning. I know usually we go back to the beginning much sooner than this, but it was an exciting sequence. And just pause, breathe, notice any warmth or tingling in the body. Perhaps notice an area that needs a little extra love. We're going to be going through that sequence again, and so if anything feels strained or uncomfortable, just make sure to move slowly, consciously, and don't push yourself. Find your neutral spine. You're welcome to do cats and cows or just go straight there. Maintain neutral as you drag one heel in at a time. Reach fingertips towards the heels, and then let the flesh underneath the hip points gently lift you into an effortless bridge pose. Option to release at any speed that's comfortable, and then let the arms and the right leg unfurl. And slowly reach the right leg forward, arms reach overhead. Kick into the left foot, rolling into our sideways fallen dancer pose. Option to extend the leg and bend a couple times. If your balance is really good and you want more challenge, you can try bringing the leg forward and back, and notice how hard the core, how intelligently the core has to work to stabilize. The next time the foot comes behind you, let it get heavy and just naturally roll back onto the spine. Drag the right heel in, reach the hands towards the heels. Just take a little baby bridge break. Feels really nice on the triceps after all the work we've done. And then lower one vertebra at a time, or let the hips drop and left leg unfurls. Slowly expand the space between left leg and arms. And kick into the right foot, rolling onto the left side. Pause here. Option to extend the right leg. Find your neutral spine. Notice if that helps you balance. And then explore with the right leg a little bit, shifting the weight. The right leg can kick forward, it can kick back, it can bend. Let's all bend the right knee. Let the sole of the right foot come back to the mat. Roll onto the back through bridge pose. And then extra slow, lower one vertebra at a time, and really try to feel that control on the top of the spine, the muscles on the front of the body, helping support your way down. Squeeze the thighs into the body, grab behind the thighs, and then kick the legs forward into seated. The knees can be bent or legs can extend any amount. Drag the hands back, letting the front of the body open. Circle the arms forward, letting the body fold. And then kick into the heels, slowly rising up. Start to twist to the right, all the way onto the belly. Option to drag the hands back into a cobra. Option to add on here. Bend the left knee, gaze over the right shoulder, and lift the left knee a little bit for our swimming Shalabhasana. And then extend the left leg, gaze forward, cross the left leg over, back to our Uttanasana. And then kick into the heels to go the other way. This time the right knee bends and gaze over the left shoulder. Push into the hands through Uttanasana, and just take one more each side. And if it ever feels like too much, you can stay upright and just take a Tadasana twist. And the next time you're in Uttanasana or Tadasana, bend the knees, melt the body forward any amount. Breathe into the back of the body. Make sure the head and neck feel supported. And then kick into the heels, drag the hands back, bring the soles of the feet in. Push into the hands to lift the hips. If you want a little bit more here, play with extending one leg and then bringing it back in. If you want a little less here, lower the hips down or bring them all the way to the ground. If you're playing one foot at a time, see if you can keep the pelvis completely stable. It's so hard, but it'll awaken some amazing core stability. And then let's all set our hips down. Oh, that was cool, Amanda. Amanda kicked a little higher and it looked really fun. Lift the feet, push into the hands. Option to pause in Malasana or make your way to Uttanasana. If Malasana is comfortable for you, feel free to add on a little twist here. Make sure you can breathe. Go to both sides. And then plant the hands in front of you. Lift onto the heels. Shift the weight forward. We're not going into crow today, but I want you to just get used to bringing some weight into the hands. And so keep the knees deeply bent and just shift weight forward, letting the fingertips grip a little bit. Make sure there's some weight, extra weight on the pinky side of the palm. And then slowly lift the hips, drop the head, Uttanasana. Take one full breath cycle to roll all the way up. And pause at Tadasana and just notice where your spine naturally is before we tell it to go anywhere. Perhaps there's a sense of the deep core muscles still supporting you. Notice the sensation of the shoulder girdle resting on the rib cage and maybe any extra awareness that has been enlivened in the back of the body and the back of the shoulders. So we'll do one more round of our standing sequence and we'll have the option to put everything together. And you can also back up and break anything down like we've done before so that you can stay safe and happy. So take a moment, grab those rubber bands. Go to the next track. Satyam likes me to do it when you're standing up instead of laying down. So I always have to remember. Feel free to grab a sip of water as long as we're doing things. And let's see. I think, we should stick to the middle of the mat. All right. So when you've made it back to your mat, invisible rubber bands, you're almost done with them, but grab them at least a couple more times. Slowly stretch them up towards the sky. Let the front of the body lengthen, shift the weight into the left foot. Let the rubber bands help pull the right knee in and up. Reach the hands back, point the right toe forward, and then slowly glide the right foot back. Bend the left knee so you can get a little bit more distance here, and then shift the weight evenly into both feet. Sweep the arms up. And then extend the front leg, sweep the arms back, hinge towards Parsvottanasana. And then sweep the arms up, bend the knee. On our second hinge, option to shift the weight into the front foot into Veer Bhadrasana 3. Take a moment in Veer 3 to find your neutral spine and see if you can feel your body in space, your proprioception of finding that perfect straight line. It might be a little easier after the work we've done today. And then bend the front knee really deeply, set the hands down, slowly lower the back leg like a plank, and then glide the left foot along the mat, back and up into three-legged dog. Option to lower the knees here, or to allow the left foot to just drag you over the right hand, right into our rockstar. Lower the hips for a moment. I have more success when I do it that way. Option to keep the right leg extended for Wild Thing or bring the right leg in like we did before. Whatever you prefer. And slowly unfold the front of the body until your full asymmetrical shoulder pose. You're welcome to take a couple of pulses here. And then lower the hips down. Bend both knees, hands behind you, and crab walk back onto your mat. And now we'll do the same thing from the opposite direction. Do you remember what happens after this? Lower the hips, lift the feet, push into the hands, Malasana. And then, pause in Malasana. You've got your option to hold center, take a twist from side to side. Plant the hands. Lift the hips enough that you can bring some weight into the hands. Shift forward and back a couple of times. Make sure you can breathe and just get used to having your head underneath your hips. And then slowly lift the hips, melt the head, roll up. Good job, Danny. You're like winning the prize. Grab your rubber bands. Last time, stretch them overhead. Let the whole front of the body lengthen. And then this time, the right leg lifts, Right leg lifts. Reach the hands behind you. Slowly lengthen the right foot forward. Drag the foot back. Reach the hands forward. Find your Veer Bhadrasana 1 and let the feet really stretch away from one another, and then bring equal weight into both feet. Bend the front knee. Sweep the arms up. Veer Bhadrasana 1. And then melt forward. Sweep the arms back. Uttanasana. Push into the front foot. Straighten it any amount back to Veer 1 or volcano. And then bend the front knee, shift forward, sweep the arms back, shift the weight into the front leg, and take a moment to fly in Veer Bhadrasana 3 and try to feel the right heel reaching back and the crown of the head reaching forward. Breathe. And then slowly bend the left knee, bring the toes of the right foot down, lower the hands inside of the left foot, and slowly glide the left foot back and up. Three-legged. Option to lower the knee. And then swivel over the right hand into rockstar. Lower the hips. Walk the feet in. Option to keep the right leg out or bend it. And then take your pulses. And I realized, based on where we ended up, that we did the same side twice. So don't worry. We'll do the other side twice and you'll be extra strong. Next time the hips lower, drag the right foot in, walk the hands behind you and crab walk back onto the mat. Lift the feet, push into the hands, roll through Malasana, and then all the way into Uttanasana. Slowly roll up. Stretch the front of the body, lengthen, and then shift the weight to the right. Let the left knee lift. Point the left toes forward and then slowly drag the left foot back. Sweep the arms up, Veer 1, and tilt Parshva. Return to Veer 1, and then shift the weight, Veer Bhadrasana 3. Option in the second round to reach the arms forward if you'd like. You don't have to. And then slowly bend the right knee, left toes touch down, lower the hands inside the right foot, and drag right foot up and back. Three-legged dog. Option to lower knee, or just let the right foot come behind you. Right into Wild Thing, or into Rockstar. Take your pulse or hold, or take a forward fold instead. Nice, Danny. The next time the hips lower, walk your hands behind you, do your little crab walk back onto the mat. And then lift the feet, push into the hands, Malasana, and fold. Slowly roll up. And now for real this time, it's the last round. Grab your rubber bands, stretch open, Let the left knee hover, and then point the left foot forward, drag. Veer Bhadrasana 1. Parshva. Vira 1. And then Veer Bhadrasana 3. Option to reach the hands forward. And then bend the right knee, toes touch down, hands inside of right foot, glide the right foot up and back. And then either lower the left knee or slowly reach the right foot away from the right armpit, touching the right foot down. Lower the hips, readjust, or go for wild thing. It's up to you. So both knees bent is rockstar, and it's a little bit more straight back. Or right leg extended, and right hand reaches away from the right leg. Lower the hips down. Unless you're having so much fun and you want to do another round. It's okay. Hands behind you, walk the feet in, do your little crab scuttle back onto the mat. And this time, extend the legs in front of you and just take a moment to sit upright in Tadasana. As long as that's not uncomfortable, you can always bend the knees. Let's all bend the knees and plant the hands around where the knees are. Drag the hands back to let the spine lengthen. And then slowly drape the body over the legs. Walk the hands forward any amount. Lengthen through the back of the neck. Breathe into the back of the heart and the low back. And then kick into the heels to very slowly roll up one vertebra at a time, just like we did from Uttanasana to standing. And let's put on our cool down track. And it might be a few tracks ahead. Can you pull it open? Feel free to grab a sip of water. Oh, perfect. And so the next track should be, those are nice and calming. And let's scooch over to the far side of the mat. We're going to make our way onto our belly, but let's slowly recline onto our back and stretch the arms overhead. Take a couple of breaths here, just letting the shoulders relax. And if this isn't comfortable, you can open the arms to a Y or a W. And then lift the left leg, or the far leg, whatever leg is farther. Lift it, cross it over, stretch it to the far corner of the mat so it slowly helps you roll onto the belly. And when I say slow, really take your time so you can enjoy that massage on the bottom side of the body. And I didn't plan for that to be so juicy, so of course we have to do it on the other side. So now lift the other leg, so still the far leg, cross it over so you slowly roll over the other side of the body. And then lift the close leg, cross it over, and just quickly roll onto the belly because we're not going to do that one again. Drag the hands back, placing the elbows underneath the shoulders. Let the pelvis relax and just gently rock the pelvis from side to side. Unless you have to go to the bathroom like me, I don't recommend doing that. And push down into the elbows and very gently drag the hands back, just feeling the rib cage again. Rise to meet the shoulder blades. Breathe into the heart. Check in with the back of the neck. Make sure it feels long and spacious. And then slowly glide the right arm off to the side like a half T. I know you can't see my arm, but my right arm looks like that. And then slowly lower the right shoulder so the pec starts to stretch. Bend the left knee, bring the right ear towards the mat, and allow the left foot to start to reach behind you so you're opening the space in the front of the right shoulder, but push the right arm down so there's still a sense of muscular support and activation and not overstretching. And then go back the way you came. So the left hip starts to drop. The knee stays bent. Push down into the left elbow and gaze to the right, over the right shoulder at the left foot. The right hand is tented off to the side. We're going to do that a couple of times. So right hand slides out, right ear comes down, the stinger leg crosses over. You can stay here and breathe, or you can just pulse from pose to pose. Each time the left hip comes down, drag the right arm back in so the shoulders are level. Gaze over the right shoulder. For this last one, if you want to get into pec minor, it's a little more intense, but you can reach the arm at a Y and bring the elbow down and then point the hand in like a half diamond instead of out at T. The right hand will look like this. And you probably won't go quite as far because it gets deep fast. And breathe. And then slowly make your way back to center. Let's pause in Sphinx, and I'll stay this way so you can see what's happening. And we'll go the opposite direction. So now the left arm tense. And then just take a moment to slowly slide the left arm out. Left ear comes down. And then bend the right knee and allow the right foot to start to reach behind you. Push into the left arm so you can feel the strength in the front of the left shoulder, helping the muscles eccentrically contract. So lengthen while staying strong. And then gently bring the right hip back to the mat. Drag the left arm in so the left shoulder rises to meet the right shoulder and gaze over the left shoulder. And then take a couple more of these pec stretches. And whenever or if ever you want a little bit more, you make the diamond with the left arm. Just make sure not to overdo it. It gets pretty intense and we don't want it to be strainy. And the next time you're back at center, you can just pause in Sphinx pose and gently drop your chin towards your chest. It shouldn't be intense. The head should still feel buoyant. And start to roll the chin towards the left and the right, getting some relief on the back of the neck and the side of the neck. And let the arms start to slide out from underneath you so you can stack the hands, elbows wide. Bring the forehead to the hands. And just breathe. Breathe into the neck. Breathe into the shoulders. Breathe down towards the hips. And then imagine the energy of the breath traveling all the way down the legs to the feet. Glide the hands underneath the shoulders and as gently and effortlessly as possible, start to press the body from table eventually to Bhaktasana and see how minimal your effort can be. For minimal effort, it's almost like you need maximum participation. All muscles in your body help at like 1%. And then push down into the shins, heavy pelvis. Stack one vertebra at a time. So you're in a kneeling position. And can hit pause on the music. We'll have a few minutes for meditation and then a few minutes for Shavasana. I have a hip issue, so I am going to kneel. But if you can sit cross-legged, that is optimal for meditation. Feel free to grab blankets, cushions, whatever helps you to be supported. And feel free to wiggle around if you need to. Otherwise, maybe stillness feels amazing after all of our movement. Close the eyes if that feels okay, or just gaze down at a single point. And observe your natural breath flow. We always want to stay in the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps us rest and restore. And so there's no need to force anything with the breath. You want it to feel safe and supportive. And just begin exploring lengthening the breath in a way that still feels safe and supportive. And so it might slow down just a little on the inhale, and then even more on the exhale, so you can drop in deeper inside. And we'll work with the mantra Om Namah Shivaya. And we're going to chant it silently, but really, really slow, so it encourages us to slow our breath down. And again, whatever feels safe and comfortable for you, but just taking your time with each syllable. Allowing the breath to extend. And as we continue to breathe and repeat the mantra, bring a new curiosity to your exhale. And just notice any sense of releasing, softening, really dropping all of the thoughts, even dropping the physical body and sinking into the space beyond that. If you ever get distracted or find yourself engaged with your thoughts, try just slowing the breath down. And notice if that helps you instantly become more present. For the last portion of class, you're welcome to continue to meditate. You're also welcome to make your way into Shavasana. I've switched back to the 90-minute format, so you're also welcome to leave early if you need to. And whatever your choice is, just continue to support yourself from the inside. From our physical practice, that was our deep core. But in our spiritual practice, there's something deeper and more profound than those layers. Our energetic body can soak in all of the energy you've generated in your practice and the grace of this lineage, and just allow for the restoring and rebalancing of that highest part of you. And let the breath reinvigorate the body. Make any gentle waking movements. And eventually make your way to a comfortable seat. We'll meet with hands at the heart. And just notice your next 3 natural breaths. And gently bow your head, just acknowledging your inner connection and that inner place of wisdom that guides you to deepen this connection. Thank you so much for practicing today. So great to see each of you. And I'm very happy to say I know I will see all of you very soon. So have a great couple of days and see you soon. Feel free to type in or unmute if you have any questions. Otherwise, peace.